On September 24th, 2025, EASA dropped a really important safety directive for the Airbus A330neo. And it's a big one. It tackles a software flaw that can mess with critical braking systems right at touchdown. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what went wrong, what the fix is, and the tight deadline operators are now facing. So picture this. An A330neo is landing, and in that exact moment the wheels hit the runway, the pilots suddenly lose their ground spoilers, their thrust reversers, and the auto brake system, all at once. Now, the crew in this incident did an amazing job and stopped the plane manually, no problem. But, the potential for what could have happened, well, that's what triggered this urgent response from EASA. Okay, so to really get why the fix is what it is, we first have to understand the failure itself. Let's dive into the chain of events and the root cause that investigators eventually tracked down. It all happened in a flash, like a chain reaction. Right at the moment of touchdown, a little monitoring function inside the flight control primary computers, the FCPCs, got tripped up. It was a false alarm, but this wasn't a physical part failing. It was a software gremlin. And because it happened in all three computers at the exact same time, the system just threw its hands up, declared a triple PRIM fault, and shut down the spoilers, reversers, and auto brake as a precaution. And this, right here, is the smoking gun. Investigators pinpointed this exact issue, undue triggering. That's the official term. A piece of software that was supposed to be monitoring the rudder just activated when it shouldn't have. It was this one tiny software glitch that managed to bypass all the physical redundancy built into the plane, and it's exactly what this new directive is designed to stamp out for good. All right, so which planes are we actually talking about here? Defining the scope is obviously a huge deal for any airline flying these jets. The directive isn't vague at all. It's super specific, calling out a range of manufacturer serial numbers starting at 1819 and going all the way up to 2088. So that gives everyone a crystal clear idea of which production block of A330-941s has this particular FCPC software on board. And it gets even more granular from there. The AD actually splits the affected fleet into two separate groups. The only difference between them is whether or not a previous Airbus modification, number 209467, has been installed. So Group 1 planes don't have it, Group 2 planes do. And this distinction is really important because it changes the exact steps you need to take to get the aircraft compliant. Okay, we've covered the problem and who it affects. Now for the most important part if you're in maintenance or planning, the solution. What exactly needs to get done? First things first, the clock is officially ticking. This airworthiness directive goes into effect on October 8th, 2025. And from that day, operators have exactly 1 year, 12 months, to get their aircraft fixed. That October 2026 deadline should be circled in red on every planning calendar. This is the heart of it. Every single flight control primary computer on these planes has to be upgraded to this new standard, P17B/M32neo2K2, or of course any later version that gets approved. All the work follows the Airbus Service Bulletin A33-27-3250. And to be clear, this is not a recommendation, it's a mandate. But wait, it's not quite that simple. You can't just do the FCPC upgrade and call it a day. As you can see here, there's a whole list of other required mods that have to be done either before or at the same time as the main upgrade. And which ones you need to do depends on if your aircraft is in Group 1 or Group 2. So the first step for any planning team has to be a full configuration review. So after all that planning, all that technical work, what's the end result? Let's talk about the why behind it all, the real, tangible safety improvements that these modifications are going to deliver. And here's the payoff. The new FCPC software completely wipes out the root cause. It stops those false triggers from ever happening again. That means the ground spoilers, the thrust reversers, and the auto brake system are guaranteed to be there when the pilots need them most. At the end of the day, all this work is about one thing: restoring the aircraft's fundamental safety margins on every single landing. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at this from a higher level. For the airline managers, the fleet planners, and the camo teams, what's the real-world operational impact? Complying with this AD is a serious undertaking. It means taking an aircraft out of the flight schedule for a period of time. Planners have to account for the labor hours, the logistics of getting all the parts in, and that block of time the jet just won't be flying. The really strong recommendation here, the smart play, is to line this work up with a planned C-check or some other heavy maintenance visit. That's the best way to minimize the disruption to your operations. And that really brings us to the final critical question that every single operator of an A330-941 needs to be asking themselves right now. That 12-month window is going to go by faster than you think. Is your plan ready to go for that October 2026 deadline? Now, of course, to build that plan, you have to go straight to the source. For all the technical details and legal requirements, you'll need to consult the full official EASA directive and the Airbus service bulletins it references. That's your guide to keeping your fleet safe and compliant.